Thank you for sharing. So this is where we record because where we put the information, we will use it for later. But if you don't want to be like talking or having anything in there, feel free to close your camera and mute. And then once I'm done with the presentation, then we're gonna stop the recording and open it up for discussion. For the discussion part, it's really up to you if you would like to type your question out, because if you're in a place that's kind of like loud and you're not comfortable turning on your mic to speak, then then you could just type your question into the chat, and then me and Sky or Kunbo will be helping to monitor that and then answer your questions. We'll read the questions out loud and then we'll verbally answer them. Next slide, please. All right, so oops, maybe we hold it here for a second. Oh, my LinkedIn and QR code. Okay, she's making it like very efficient for everybody. That's great. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about ready to build a loyal customer base. If you guys have already watched some of my YouTube shorts or some of these things content that I've put out probably in the last 10 days, you have probably heard me say things like customer acquisition can be between 5 to 10 times more than customer retention. So it's a good idea to have retention program to keep your customer coming back, keeping them satisfied. And also it's a way of helping you to understand their customer experience, right? With your brand, with your service, or with your product. Okay, next item, please. All right. So when I first started in marketing, basically we learned the top of the funnel. So you guys may have come across and hear the word tofu, mofu, and bofu. And I'm not cursing. It's literally what it's called. So tofu is top of the funnel. So that's, when you look at the top of the funnel, that's going to be like engagement and education. And mofu is going to be the research, evaluation, and justification. And bofu is going to be at the bottom of the funnel, which is where they make the purchase, right? So now once they make the purchase, because there's different type of purchases here and you guys all have different types of businesses. So with your types of businesses, there may be an onboarding process, where there's an adoption, like sometime when you first buy a software, like I recall even when I first bought my antivirus, it wasn't just an antivirus. There was like a number of other things that came with it. There was the antivirus, there was the VPN, there was a computer tuner, there was, the driver update, a part of this whole big software, and they kind of like take you through the tutorial. And I remember like the first few times that it was reminding me, I kept skipping the tutorial, and then I messed up something and actually turned things off in the antivirus. So then I had to like backtrack and actually go back through the onboarding process to help me understand how to use the product properly. Okay, then there's retention, which comes into satisfaction and success. Oh, we have someone else coming into here as well. And then expansion, which is an opportunity to upsell, cross-sell, resell, depending on what your product and services are. And then last but not least is advocacy, right? This is where they love you, they talk about you, they evangelize. If anything in your area comes up, they're going to mention you like, oh, hey, have you talked to so-and-so about this? So, and you could also incentivize advocacy as well by, if appropriate for your product and services, having them as an affiliate where there's a reward relationship involved, okay? That's at your discretion, and of course, depending on what's best practice for what you do. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the customer journey. Now, you guys might have heard this, where what is the customer journey? I really like this map. I took it off the internet. I like it because I feel many people may have not, hey, nice to meet you all too. Many people may not have noticed, like, from the digital to the physical touch point, right? Now, when I was doing like heavily in CRM, they say like customers need at least 7 to 9 touch points before they're going to make a purchase from you. So, and when we say touch points, that could be in different forms. So that could be maybe they read about you, somebody gave your reference. Maybe they went to go read something or watch something that you created online or your blog, right? Or they might have like did a Google sniff on you, just like checking you out, in a big way, just to see the kind of things that you do and who are you working with or involved with, for legitimacy reasons. Because since the pandemic, there's been a lot of scam and fraud that has crept up. And yeah, there's been people who have like fall prey into those situations. So people are a bit more critical and mindful of the situation now. And recently I also heard, I was listening to a podcast. I have around 7 or 8 podcasters that I follow. I don't remember the specific. This could be from Mel Robbins to Lewis Howe or to Chris Do. I tend to think it might be Chris Do who said, people need to consume anywhere between 8 to 9 hours of your content before they are going to make a decision to do business with you, if they're in the market, right? If the timing's right, and of course there are some criteria which can make that purchase or that transaction possible. So we just have a look through this journey. Basically, PR is very much at the top of the funnel. It's very much an awareness tool, but they might come across ads. Now they write here radio, TV, print, and outdoor, but of course, you can see ads online as well, and you'll see that coming through, right? So online display, search, paid content. You might have signed up into their e-newsletter to get an email, and that might direct you to a landing page and then they could be retargeting you on social media and third-party sites, like through native ads or ads that are, like Google Display, as well as Taboola, Outbrain. There's all kinds of native ads out there that are third-party sites. And then they might come back to you again through a direct mail. And then if it's a product or a service that you might want to visit the branch, then you might visit the store, or you might talk to a service provider who's either an agent or a broker. More information may pop up into your mobile, or then you go into a website. Maybe it's a self-serve, then it's taking you through all these digital touch points where you could either be part of their virtual community, you could chat with the business or brand themselves, you could go check out their social media. You may have a conversation with their call center. IVR is, I think, is a virtual assistance. Yeah. And then towards the end here is when we have offers for this, the offer is made, the sale is made, you get into the regular mailings. And then at the end, when you start to see here at the end where you have like loyalty and survey, this is the part where you will probably need to think about, okay, beyond me selling this to them, what is important for these people, and how can I, keep this relationship going, right? As a vendor or as a supplier, retailer. And then there's different things in the loyalty program. And of course, products and services may build out those retention program or loyalty program a little bit differently. And of course, you can keep in touch with them through email and social media. I really do. I have a video out, and it was made probably like 2 months ago. I really want to advocate for you guys to use your email list. Why? Because over time, the cost of advertising will continue to go up. And for some of you who are already doing any types of ads, you probably know that already, that it will always go up, right? Because it's a bidding system. So having your own email list and using something like MailChimp or Constant Contact or Sendinblue, it's a way for you to reach out to your own customer base, make special offers, offer something exclusive. So if you haven't started collecting emails yet, I highly encourage you to do so. Your emails from the registration, we have already collected it, so that like next time we have an event, we will be emailing you to let you know. So you're welcome to, please white label Brandnow.Asia as a safe sender. But anytime you feel like the content is no longer suitable for you, or you've moved out of this area, or the city or the region, of course, you can always unsubscribe. So that's one of my tips, especially for customer retention. Next slide, please. All right. So I have some case studies. Actually, I think I prepared probably too many case studies. But when Sky and I were doing a review about them yesterday, I thought, okay, what I'd rather do is probably share Google Sniff. Haha, that's a good one. Never heard it before. Yeah, people Google Sniff you, Susie. they Google Sniff you. They Google Sniff me all the time, because there's all kinds of people that come to you and through you, So I wanted to throw out some questions to you guys, because you're here to want to know, what can I do for customer retention? What can I do for, create brand loyalty, right? So let's just go to these questions. It's not for you to answer. It's for you to answer me. It's more for you to just answer yourself. If you like to have that discussion, as I offered earlier, you're welcome to book a discovery call with me and my teammates. We will ask for a brief prior to setting up a meeting, and that brief, we have a briefing form asking questions about what it is, so that when we get into the meeting, we make it as efficient as possible and try to get to the solution as fast as possible to you, and making recommendations. So questions for your brand would be, what is important to my customers post-sales? For some, maybe an onboarding process, so that they understand how to use the product or the service. Onboarding could be very critical, because maybe the product is quite technical, like I explained earlier about the antivirus that I have been using. Do we have information for, enough information for us to create a retention and loyalty program? Because you don't want to create something that's not important to them. Because if you create a program that they don't value, later they're just like, oh, even though I bought this product, they don't really understand me, and they'll leave and not want to do business with you again. So think about, have you surveyed? If you haven't surveyed, or if you surveyed a while ago, maybe it's a good idea to do the survey again. For the marketing meetup, I think I did, my last survey was in October. So come September, I will start strategizing the questions again, to find out what these webinars are made based on the feedback that we get from the people in our marketing meetup. So we start to, customize the content around what is it that people are interested in. How can we give value-added services to keep the engagement, right? So is it, where are some of these opportunities? Are they to upsell, cross-sell? Could we have value-added partnerships in place, so that, we make sure that we are able to provide those opportunities right away? How do we build a community or an ecosystem, so that we give people the opportunity to, like someone that's my customer already, they can also invite the other customer. Alex from Mozy, he writes this as access. So it's like, it's a way for them to access your service or access your product from the start, right? So, and then from the access, you might want to create like an exclusive, which then could be, an upsell from the general access. So these are the questions that I have for you, just to help you stimulate some thinking. Okay, next. Before going into the case studies, I wanted to just kind of run through. You've probably seen them, and it's probably part of almost like your everyday life. And it just hasn't been labeled and brought up in the way that helps you think about it from the point of view as a business or brand and how you're going to apply it. So for example, the points and reward system, right? So the points and reward system, and everybody here has a credit card. If you guys have a credit card that's probably one level up from an entry card, you're going to either have some kind of either a cashback or a point system. And then you can use those point systems to trade for, let's say, for example, oh, hi, Kun Subuchai. You can trade the points for different things. So you can trade the points to use for airlines. You can trade the points to get good, right? So I think we need to mute. Yep, there we go. All right. So those are the maybe we have to. Okay, thank you. So you can use the points for trading into services or products. Now, if you're a smaller, a smaller shop, and you're not like a credit card company, right, which is a form of fintech or finance, think about Line. How many of you guys have Line where you use to get points? For example, one of mine and my kids' favorite shop is Acai Story inside M Courtier. And yeah, every time we get a bowl or a shake or a smoothie from Acai Story, we always get our point system. My hairdresser also uses Line as a point system. It's very easy to open it. It's not expensive to do. So even a small, like my salon it's not even a chain salon, it's a standalone salon. She was able to open and create a point system. And then as a result, I can trade some of the points to either get a discount or get a free service. Another one is referral programs. I think I touched on this a little bit earlier. So you can either refer friends and family. When I was growing up in the US, there was this like the Sprint, anytime you refer any friends or family, that you would get free extra minutes for your long distance or a certain amount of cash back on your bill. So these referral systems, they don't have to be complicated. You can give them, well, you could assign codes like arbitrary, right? Or you can buy into a system to do these kinds of things. I'm sure that when you bought stuff on Shopee and Lazada, they ask you if you have a code, to put in. If you're a shop yourself, you could also give out those codes like to first-time buyers, but not, people who bought from your shop before. So, and then that code could have been given to the customer for them to then share with their friends and family. So that's a way to incentivize and then track who's given out the code, and then they get the benefit. Okay. Referred discount can work pretty much the same way. Personalized experiences. So there could be, as I mentioned earlier about Alex Hormozy. So, you can have a general access. The general access could be a meet and greet that you do online, but then maybe there's a private event, for the meet and greet. So then that becomes more personalized. I just recently booked a ticket to go visit my parents in Chiang Mai, and there was an upgrade for, I could take and pay. I think it was like an extra 150 baht. But if I have enough points, I could have traded like my points to do like, priority check-in, this kind of thing. So priority check-in and priority booking for me is a very similar. We touched on exclusive benefits. So exclusive benefits doesn't have to be just points. Let's say you might have a specialized, let's say, for everyone that has a birthday, let's say in the month of August, customers for the month of August, you may have a special thing that you might want to give them, whether it's like something you want to send them through the mail or through email that they can redeem. So you can run that every month, just as long as they verify and validate it is indeed their birth month and that they want to get that special perk or membership for you. Now, if you're in high ticket, like myself, it may warrant actually shipping out a specific product or a visit or having a lunch, just with that, if it's like your top 10 customer that you're doing repeated businesses with. The other one is community building. So Susie and I had Susie, who is with EQ Kids. Oops, somebody wrote. Oh, okay. And she and I had this big conversation about the work that she does, and which is helping teaching parents as well as teachers, as well as other people in the education, as well as kids on, what is EQ and what is their emotions, how to recognize them. You can ask her more in depth. She did like a demo in one of our women meetup meeting, which is LOS, Lionesses of Siam. It's going to be happening tomorrow. So I said to Susie, I said, hey, maybe they would want to, have like regular meetups. And maybe there's more questions in between. And if you have like a WhatsApp community or different things, or just like a once a month AMA, AMA stands for Ask Me Anything, just to bring the community together. And, that could help with access, meaning like if I'm a member, I have been coached by Susie as well as my child, but then let's say there's an AMA and I've been talking about the services that Susie has been doing, that would be a way to like, hey, by the way, Susie's doing this, and it would be great like if you want to join her AMA, or she's having this meetup, AMA, Ask Me Anything. Here, let me type that up. So if you see that online where people are hosting AMA, so usually people in particular fields will do that. And it's just, and because otherwise you get a lot of random questions and you're answering them all the time, and it could be a bit time consuming. So you see like these retention and loyalty programs are all around us. And we're actually consumers of those things, as well as we could also create them too. And, as somebody who is a keen observer, you could also look at some interesting loyalty programs and choose to adopt them or try them out, or survey your community to check that they would want that for them. So those are some of my ideas for you. Next slide, please. All right. So just curious, how many here you grabbed in the last 10 days? Or both? Or line man? All right. Me, good stuff. Me. Yeah, okay, I did. Yeah, exactly. You too, Susie. So yeah, this is Grab. We met in 2013 and we worked with them until basically 2017. And so we are very familiar with their system. And I went and had just a look-see as to where they are now. They've gotten way more robust. So the loyalty program, as you know, you could buy into the subscription. And this is also another thing I saw that Food Panda is also doing. It's like if you buy like a subscription, and then you can get like unlimited, I think, delivery, for your food service. So there's the food delivery, there are the rides, there's like unlimited rides. You can book like so many things under the system and get points, and it's a tiered system. they have a wide range of services, as you probably know. I think the only one I haven't used is probably the e-wallet. But other ones I've used from the driver to transport to food to it's just probably the e-wallet. Anybody use the Grab e-wallet? What was your experience with that? So the app, for me anyway, I feel it's busy, but it's very functional. But I did have someone who visited from China in Shanghai, and they said that, oh, it's could be improved. I like the WeChat Pay version better. So I was like, okay. Um, I didn't use WeChat, but we used Alipay when we visited China earlier this year during Songkran. The other thing that they do quite regularly, when we were helping them, launch and get traction in the market, was strategic partnerships. So we helped them do partnerships for young moms who have no personal vehicles, to hospitals, to the universities and stuff like that. So to get pop-up booths. Recently, I noticed that they have a lot of rewards program that's like going from major Cineplex to Tourism Authority of Thailand. I think they also did something with S&P and a music streaming. So they try to combine many things, making it so that it's easier for you to stay on the platform and want to use the platform. I also want to point something out. If you guys are ever considering um, creating like a membership and benefit reward program, you want to make it easy for them. I think all of us probably in this room will probably have a rabbit card and an MRT card, right? Now, you see how functional the rabbit card is in terms of its use. It's not just the BTS, right? You can use it across food courts and payments in different places, whereas the MRT doesn't give you those services. So the more one of the principles of loyalty and CRM that we want to do is like make the program create the program so that it has a lot of utility, meaning that, although this card is in my wallet, it has so many multiple use. Cards that don't have multiple use for me, for example, like the IKEA card, I can only use it at IKEA. I actually just have a picture of this card when I go to IKEA because it's, there's no need to like lug it around. I can just have a picture of it and it still scans. So whatever program that you're wanting to build, if you can make it, multifunctional, having a lot of utility, it's going to get good word of mouth and it's going to get used. I remember, I'm not going to mention the brand of this clinic that I had been to, but they had given me a reward program. But all of them were not for me. They were all like, I was the wrong person for any of these rewards. And they sent me something like 20 different coupons. And I just couldn't imagine myself using any of it. And I actually, just coming from a CRM point of view, I did call and I did leave a message just to say, it would be good if you could segment your customers so that when you give something, they can actually use it. So all the things that they gave me, I ended up just, giving it away or chucking most of it. So that's something for consideration. Surveys should help you with that. And, after you survey your customers, you're going to need to segment them a little bit because one size may not fit all. It may seem like a little bit of work in the beginning, but once you have it segmented, then you can start to shop for the partners for that particular segment, right? So, for example, in my case, right, I am a businesswoman in her 50s. So this is my kind of lifestyle. Let's say I have an active lifestyle. I, like to play sports, and I like to travel. So giving me anything, points, reward, or in that space, what I would really appreciate. So, but let's say you give me a voucher to go to an aesthetic clinic. It's something I may or may not use. It's not, really super important to me, and I don't value it. So later on, it's like that scenario I mentioned earlier. Because it's not valuable to me, I don't think you know me, and that you keep giving me things that I can't really use. Then I may feel like, oh, this brand and business doesn't really care that much about me, or the loyalty program doesn't really suit me. So I can do one or two things. Either I'm going to give them that feedback, or I can vote with my feet, right? Some customers do. And I'm sure you and I have both done it. We vote with our feet and we go somewhere else. Cute. Next, please. Okay, so that was an app. This is an app plus brick and mortar from the US. And I just recently came across this, and apparently it was a multi-billion-dollar acquisition. Amazon buying out Whole Foods. I was actually listening to a podcast and it came through. So for those of you who are, from the US or who have lived in the US, you might have come across both of these brands already. So coming together really is very much of a powerhouse. So with Prime is about delivery. So it's making sure that you can get things efficiently for any orders over $35. And then, of course, as a Whole Food member, you can have like access to a lot of things that are online through Amazon. And then credit card, I don't think I need to mention it again. We already touched on the credit card bit. And then, of course, coupons and deals. You can get codes and different things. And Amazon, I noticed they do a really good at segmenting, because I visit, maybe just annually. And then when I get on their platform, they always remember what I looked at last. And if, the prices change or there's an offer or coupon or something like that, they make sure that I see it. They also, if you're a Prime member, there is the fast checkout. There's, Prime pickup around USA for any online orders. Next, please. All right. So yeah, they link both of, like Whole Food customers to the Amazon Prime. As you can imagine, they're, sitting on a big bulk of data here where they can segment properly. And I know for some of you that it might be over the top for your business and something you might not go into. And who knows, based on how fast AI is perforating now, it's possible that, something like the equivalent, like AI, could be added to something like Shopify, and it could help you to segment the buyers, right, in your Shopify shop. And then you can actually use that information, whether it goes into your CRM. Oh, okay, bow dropped. You can use either like a Zapier or something like a Zapier to tie in from your Shopify AI segmentation into, a CRM software, and that could be HubSpot or something else like it. And then it's easy to segment. So it just sounds big right now because, in the past it was very much only big businesses were doing it, but I think more and more these type of software are becoming available for the solopreneur and the micro SMEs. Yeah. So yeah, the benefits of these relationship is, of course, increasing loyalty, more purchases, omni-channel. It doesn't matter if you're showing up in, if you never heard any of these terminology, please feel free to ask me in the chat. I live in the world of marketing quite a bit, and I get lost in my own little world. So if I say anything that you may not know, just ask me. I'm happy to explain them. And yeah, so it leverages on both of these customer database, Amazon as well as Whole Foods. Next slide, please. All right, so that's my walkthrough. It was to ask you questions, to give you some basics about some loyalty and retention programs that you could consider, and then taking you through a couple of case studies on how they're used, And then now we're going to open up the floors to some questions. So feel free if you